Hello captains, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another full flight video here in the new sim, which is Prepare version 5, and we are once again in the PMDG 747 since it is still the only proper aircraft being released up to this point. I am hoping for some other aircraft to come in within the next couple of days. I know that the A330 should be ready maybe beginning of next week if we are lucky, so I hope that next flight we can have another aircraft as well. Nevertheless, for today, back in the 747, also back on a cargo flight, since still not real passenger flights are being operated. But I got a pretty nice route for us today, so we are flying here from Milan over to New York, and it's early evening time here, 7:30 p.m. local time, which means we will hopefully have a nice sunset pretty soon after departure, and then it will be some stretch of nighttime flying. And when we get to New York, I hope we will have good visibility to have a look at how the sim looks at night. Especially in New York, it should be pretty neat. And also I should mention that today we have the enhanced atmospherics enabled, also together with active sky, and you can see it back there, huge difference compared to the old sim. The Alps back there look pretty stunning. Maybe we can have another look over there. Yeah, so now it looks super realistic, just sort of the shades of the mountains in the background, pretty nice. And also PMDG has issued another very short, very small update on the 747, fixing the steering and also providing the weather radar integration for active sky, and I hope it works. I'm not too sure, I haven't tried it yet, but yeah, we will see. Alright, that being said, we will have a look on the flight plan for today. So we are operating a Cargolux Italy with the call sign of India Charlie Foxtrot 63 Mike. Pretty interesting flight number today on the 16th of May, going from Milan to JFK in the 74 freighter version registry. Real world, the same as we have today in the sim, which is Lima X-Ray Yankee Charlie Victor. And other than that, cost index 25 seems pretty standard. Some headwinds, but not too much actually, just 29 knots, so not too bad. Zero fuel weight 245.3. I haven't set it yet in the sim. Not too high, pretty balanced load level in my opinion. Flight time off 8 hours and 10 minutes. Alternate will be Boston with 45 minutes of reserves, giving us block fuel of 104.5 tons. Takeoff weight 349.6, so about 50 tons shy of max takeoff weight, and so we should be totally fine in terms of performance for today. And then the flight levels, yeah, we will handle them during the cruise, of course, starting out at 320. Yes, times I've mentioned already. Planned departure is 18 Zulu, which is 8 p.m. local time. Yes, and other than that, I believe that's pretty much all from the flight plan. And the boarding with GSX is going on, so we will head into the flight deck and we can take on our setup from here. So I have established ground power. This one is disconnected since we used the side cargo door, and IRSs are aligned, so that's all looking fine. We need to set the weights first of all. So FS action payload, zero fuel weight of 245.3. That goes in here, so 71.9%. And fuel of 104.5. 561 to be accurate. 63.9, perfect. And then the ACARS. Entering the data. So this flight, it's not a special operations, it's regular cargo routing for Cargolux Italy. Going, I believe, once a week if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, it seems like even now during this situation there is some demand for the goods which are usually operated on these flights. Maybe it's also stuffed with a little bit of medical equipment. That's very likely. But other than that, probably just normal goods being transported on this route. Now the airline ID for Cargolux Italy, to be quite honest, I'm not sure. I believe Charlie Victor is the normal Cargolux code, so I'm just going to use this one for today. And then the flight number, there it is, 63 Mike. Connect that, perfect. Alright, so that's done. And yeah, I should also mention that when we have the enhanced atmospherics switched on, then also the cockpit textures look much better for some reason. Seems to be deeply connected to one another. But now we got the brownish color, the typical Boeing color, which we were looking for during the last flight. But here it is, so that has been sort of fixed as well. Let's continue with the Fmc setup. To JFK, send request, that is sending. Invalid entry. I'm not sure where that is coming from. It should be fine. And yes, route is entered. That's perfect. So in terms of departure, we will departing out of runway 35 left today. And then the departure route will be the NELAP 6 Mike. Let's see if we can find that. NELAP 6 Mike, there it is. Transition. And then there are two possible ways to get to waypoint Ostar. Actually, they don't make much of a difference. Yeah, I think we're going for this transition. Should be fine. All right. Other than that, winds, we can load them. Yeah, request ascending. Okay, now works. Descent forecast also, but we will also update this later on, of course. There we are. All right, performance, 0 fuel weight, 245.3, reserves today of 15.4, since it's quite a bit to go over to Boston. And then cost index was 25. Initial cruise 320, and then we can set the step size to 2000. All right, looking good. In terms of departure thrust, I haven't done any calculations, but I think it's fair to assume that when we use a high temperature climb 1, I believe that should work well. We are on a flap 20 departure with a center of gravity of 23, and then we got speeds 153, 164, 171, and I hope that's fine. As I've said, I haven't done any calculations, but I hope this will work properly. Okay, 171, I will dial this in here. And then the departure itself is quite interesting. So on our route, we need to climb on heading 340. That goes in here, there it is. At or above 1,200 feet, which is not a lot since we are already at 780. Turn left on heading 310, and then we will follow the designated waypoints. Yeah, so it's going to be pretty soon after departure where we do a slight left-hand turn. Transition altitude here is 6,000. I should put this in here. And then usually on this departure there would be speed restrictions as well. However, I'm quite sure that they are not going to be applicable for us, since we need to go at higher speeds. I think it's locked to 230 knots below 6,000 feet. But it also reads on the chart that aircrafts can get exclusions from that. So I believe we will handle it that way. And then in terms of initial climb clearance, there's nothing mentioned on the charts, and also there's no traffic today, so I will dial this all the way up to cruise level. There is flight directors, LNAV, VNAV. I believe GSX is done with the boarding, or the loading rather. Close all. Alright, and we can quickly do the pre-flight checklist. Oxygen, it's tested 100%, heading off 257, 257, and altimeters of 1017, 1017. Let's check parking brake. Is set, and fuel control switches are cut off. Pre-flight checklist is completed. Okay, and now I need to get the APU fired up. And then I believe we can already ask for a pushback. Also, we can quickly do the taxi briefing. It will be quite a short taxi today, so runway 35 right is just over there, very close. So what we will do is we will get a pushback with the tail to the left and just taxi around this one and another left hand turn over there, and then it's the runway already. Pretty short taxi today. And now I will ask for the pushback. And I'm still waiting for the APU. In the meantime, I can put the fuel pumps on. Window heats. Those can stay off for now.
Hello, Captain.
There's the APU. And then we can get rid of all the ground connections as well. Put those signs to on. Okay, and we can continue with the before start checklist. Flight deck door is closed and locked. Passenger signs are on. MCP is set at V2 171, heading of 340 and altitude of 320. Takeoff speeds. V1 of 153, VR of 164, and V2 of 171. CD pre-flight is completed, trim is free at 0 units. Taxi and takeoff briefing, yes, we have talked about both of them, and beacons go on now. This one goes to aux.
Release parking brakes.
And I will release the parking brakes.
Commencing push.
Starting block time.
Is clear. Started with.
Alright, and off we go. 17:42, quite early. 20 minutes ahead of scheduled departure time for now. Alright, and now we can continue to fire up, or start to fire up the engines, just checking that there's no fuel in the center tank, which is not the case. Engine page, continuous ignition, packs are off, starting 3 and 4. Now we are looking for about 20% in 1 and 3 it is, sorry. There we go. I kind of like the Cargolux Italy livery. It's very simple, and yet somehow it's super nice in my opinion. And also, it is the first time for me flying out of Milan. That took quite a while for the textures to load in. Yeah, it's the first time for me flying out of this airport, and I believe it's a beautiful departure since we get really close to the Alps, and especially now as it looks quite bright outside. I was hoping for a little bit of sunset to come in, but that does not seem to be the case for now. Okay, starting 1 and 2. Crew controls and the park and brake as
Waiting for
well.
your confirmation for root engine start.
And in the meantime, trim should be set at plus 6.2. That looks like 6.2. There we are. And also the VORs, and yeah, traffic, we don't have it today. Thinking of going terrain or weather, since both will be rather interesting. Maybe terrain even better for now, and VORs, and then the weather over here. Okay, I've just heard the starter cutouts, so I will confirm the good engine start. And yes, so I will set those to auto, and also the PEX can come back on. APU goes off, and we are looking good on the overhead.
Unlocking gear.
And I'm just waiting for GSX to finish their job.
Fuel truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
Okay, and we can continue with the before taxi checklist, which is anti-ice, that's off, recall is checked, auto brake. Now where is it here on this aircraft? Down there.
Clear. Right
RTO, flight controls, full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, and the rudder full left, and full right, neutral. That's checked. Ground equipment is already cleared, if I'm not mistaken, and the before taxi checklist is completed. So I will put the taxi lights on and set flaps to 20. Okay, and with that we are good to taxi. And then regarding the weather radar, I hope it works, since yeah, PMDG, they have put in a new option, which is down here to switch between active sky and regs. I have active sky running, however this one is sort of grayed out, so I'm not really sure if it has recognized my active sky system, but I believe we will see that during the flight. And it looks really misty back there, and that's what I really like about the new sim. It makes it look much more realistic. You can see that it's still a beta, we can tell from some texture popping over there. So I believe it still needs some fixes, but the idea of having the enhanced atmospherics on is super nice in my opinion. And also they have reworked the steering. So since I'm using my rudder axis for ground wheel handling, it's pretty much back to the old system, which is good since I'm used to it. So I can handle it much better than the new system they had. That's a 795. That's an interesting marking for a taxiway. Yes, and now the runway is just straight ahead. I believe I can probably set up already. Landing lights, turn offs, don't need those, taxi lights, tropes. Now I can also put two pegs to off. And also the transponder, TARA. Perfect, and the before takeoff checklist flaps are sent at 20 before takeoff checklist is completed. Sweet, and now we are almost good to go. I'm very much looking forward to this departure. And I hope I'm going to be able to track the desired course. So I'm just double checking on the charts. After 1,200 feet, we need to turn left to 340. Sorry, to 310. But it is properly set in the flight plan, so if we just follow the flight director, we should be fine. It looks like a very old runway, to be honest. But maybe it is. I have no idea. Yep, this lineup wasn't too bad, and now we are good to go on a 8-hour flight. Let's do it. Timer to on. Putting some power in. Stabilized. Toga. And off we go. Beautiful Rolls-Royce engines on the 747. Oops, I should stay on the center line.
80 knots.
Checked. And I'm just remembering I haven't double checked the weather for the departure, but it doesn't feel like too much wind, maybe a little bit from the right. And I believe we are looking good in terms of power.
V1.
For left.
V2.
Getting a tail strike, and we are airborne. Perfect. Very smooth. Gears coming up. Just a very quick look outside since the left-hand turn is coming in rather fast. Yeah, there it is already. Oh, the texture loading takes quite a while in the new sim. Alright, and flaps 10. And look at that, that's super amazing. Very misty, but looks much more realistic than we had it previously. Somehow there seems to be some speed restriction dialed in the FMC. However, on the charts it just reads below 210 knots, so we have a little bit of headroom. And now the speed bug came up as well. And that's beautiful. I love it. Flaps 5. It seems like the aircraft wants to stay at 220 knots for this next turn. Oops, now it's getting a bit bumpy, and also somehow it turns very dark outside now. We just head into a cloud or something. I didn't see anything. but that feels like we are in a big cloud. Is there something on the radar? No, there's nothing. Okay, I hope we get out of this stuff soon. But now it's getting a little bit brighter outside. And that's interesting for sure. I haven't seen that before. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a cloud or if that's supposed to be the mist outside. Hard to tell. Transition level. Okay, autopilot. That's simply amazing. That is super cool. Okay, I should put the packs back on. And somehow there still seems to be a speed restriction, which is not dialed in. Beautiful stuff. Yeah, it seems like we just headed through a rather heavy cloud down there. Wow, that looks super nice. That almost looks like the previews we get from Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Wow, simply amazing. Okay, flap 1. I'm not sure if I ever had a departure where we still have flaps out at above 8,000 feet. But let's flap up. This just adds so much more realism to the sim, in my opinion. Look at the cloud textures. Very cool stuff. And also I think the departure went fine, apart from the fact that I didn't notice the cloud we were heading into. But for flying it the first time, it wasn't too bad. Quite an interesting departure route. And now we're closing in on 10,000. So lights come off. And also continuous ignition. Very nice, and with that I'm going to head over into music and view mode to enjoy some more of this stunning departure over the Alps, and hope to see you back in, well, for you it's just a couple of minutes, for me it's about 8 hours, and see you back then. welcome back to the flight deck. Now after 7 hours and 50 minutes of flight time, we are getting close to New York. And before we get started on the approach, let me say what an awesome departure we had out of Milan. Very amazing sky colors and ground textures as well. And now at this point I'm super happy that I've switched over to prepare version 5. To be honest with you, I felt I did it maybe a little bit early. I should have waited for some more add-ons to get ported over to version 5, but now with the PMDG ported over and many of the sceneries and active sky working, I am super happy to be running the simulator. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure if the new FS 2020 can step up much in the game compared to this one. So yeah, if you for some reason haven't watched the departure out of Milan, you should go back a couple of minutes and definitely see. The scenics from the departure was very, very amazing. Alright, that being said, and there's one more thing I should add to that. What we are seeing in the sim right now, that's really just the default sim with active sky running as a weather engine. And everything else is just default. There's no tweaks in the config file, neither are there any custom shaders or something like this. So yeah, that's just the default sim and it looks amazing in my opinion. Alright, but now we can get on the approach. We are just passing 18,000. I will go to local temperatures 3014. Yeah, so we are on the Parch 3 Arnav arrival, which we entered at waypoint Plim, and now next up will be VOR Calverton, where we want to be at 12,000 feet. That's what's that in here. And then from there on we go on to Roba, where we want to be at 9,000, then Crail, Capit, and then we will be landing on runway 22 left. And it will be an ILS approach. It is not a long runway, in fact it's a super short runway. I think it has, let me quickly double check on the charts, 8,400 feet. And for some reason, I'm not sure why the real world aircraft used that runway, but it did, and that's why we are doing it as well. And it's also pretty inconvenient, since I think it will easily give me the longest taxi to the cargo stands I ever had. But never mind, I will do a fast forward on the ground. And yeah, so the reason I'm a little bit afraid is the PMDG, when it was released for prepared version 5, had some braking issues, so it was really hard to get the aircraft to slow down. And now with the update, I really hope it's fixed. I have set auto brake 3, and also I think I will be using full power reverse, and I really hope we can slow this aircraft down. Yeah, but we will see. If not, then yeah, it's simply not working. Alright, and yeah, what else in terms of the final arrival? So final approach course will be 224, and from the last waypoint, I'm not sure if we can see it in here, which will be Capit, we will go direct to Salpo, and from Salpo it will only be 6.8 miles until the touchdown zone. So what is styled in here is Salpo's speed of 160 knots. Capit is still 240. That's way too high for the last final turn. For some reason I can't dial it down in the legs page, so we will manually need to adjust that when we get there. But I have set the altitude to below 2,000 feet in order to not have to descend too much at this last turn. Other than that, in terms of go around, that's at least rather simple today. We just climb to 500 feet, then turn left towards waypoint Shunt, where we'll be holding at 3,000 feet, so that's pretty straightforward at least. And yeah, other than that, minimums today of 212, and I've dialed in here barrel 210, so that's set as well. And also I'm quite excited how the sim looks at night. I don't see any sort of city loaded in yet. but it's slowly coming. The night lights look pretty good up to this point. And oh yeah, by the way, I was really surprised for how long we chased the sunset across the Atlantic, basically until we hit the coastline of Canada. I was expecting it to set much earlier than it, but that was rather nice. So we had some pretty cool scenics during the cruise. But now here in New York seems rather dark. Seems like there's no moon around. Weather, however, is fine. We can double check, but last time I checked it was fine at least. So we have winds 120 at 6, so that will be a wind from the left hand side during landing. Visibility is perfect, that's not an issue. Few clouds at 6,000, it's decent temperatures and it's dry, so yeah, weather's fine. Final approach speed, let's see, yeah, we will be flap 30 landing, of course, 148, so we'll add 5 knots on that. That's 153, and that's even quite high, so I really hope we can slow this aircraft down. I have already put up the tire page here, and yeah, let's see how the brake temperatures develop when we are on the ground. Oops, that's 12,000. Next one should be 9,000. I was a little bit late on that, but still fine. In terms of checklist, I've completed the descent checklist earlier. Approach checklist, altimeters are set at local 3014, that's checked. And next up will be the landing checklist on short final. And now I'm really hoping that it will be a good landing. First nighttime landing in the new sim, very excited about that. And I hope you guys enjoy it as well. So far I like the looks of the sim during nighttime, it looks rather nice in my opinion. Let's get the heading duct lined up. Okay, now we're closing in on 10,000. I'm just thinking if there's anything I need to, yeah, maybe the seatbelt stands. But other than that, I believe we are quite fine for now. And then once we have passed waypoint Rober, which is fixed at 9,000 feet, then I will start to manage my speed manually in order to really make sure to be slow for the final turn. Okay, and that's basically 10,000, so I will put the inbound landing lights on and also the logo lights. And now to make sure we descend further, I will dial this down to 1,800, which is the altitude where we want to intercept the glide slope. Yeah, that's definitely not looking too bad. And also in terms of frames, it's going to be quite interesting to see how we develop during nighttime with dynamic lighting switched on. Back on the old simulator setting, this was always a big struggle to have dynamic lighting on. It was always a frame killer for me. But now with the new graphic cards and also better running sim, I hope it will stay all fine. Okay, and now I'm thinking about this goes down to the flap 1 buck, and then this one should be managed in a way that we stay maybe slightly below the descent profile. That would be perfect. And we are speeding a little bit. But now the speed is slowly coming back a little bit. That's good. Okay, in the meantime I can arm the speed brakes so that I don't forget it later. Speed brakes are armed, that's good. And there's more of the city loading in. However, I can't see Manhattan yet. That's probably still too far away. And our speed has basically come back to the flap 1 bug, which is good, so I will go ahead and set flap 1 and then we can lose some more speed. Here you can see the reason why I want to slow down so much, because at 240 knots there would be no chance to make this final turn properly. Now, is that the airport down there, maybe? Yeah, maybe that's the airport. I'm not too sure, but it might be. However, I can't see any of the clouds that Active Sky announced. It's rather clear skies. Okay, but we are looking good now. The green arc is far away from waypoint Capit, so that's good. And waypoint Capit is pretty much on the 10-mile range ring, so which means that now we are 20 miles out. Now there have been some lags, which means there is some of the city loading in. Yeah, there we can see it. Some Manhattan buildings coming in. Nice. Alright, and flap 5. I'm not sure if we can see much on the wing. Yeah, we can see a little bit, not bad. The speed can come down to the flap 5 indication, 188. And that's good. I think at 188 we have a fair chance to make this final turn. And then at South we want to be 160. And then go around once again is 3000, okay. Okay, now we are 4 miles out from Capit. I will go ahead and put the outbound landing lights, runway turnoffs, and taxi light as well. And then I wonder why I can't really see the airport. Alright, and flap 10. With the ORBX night lighting, looks pretty amazing. Super nice. Okay, now we should go into this final left-hand turn in just a second. And also I will arm the localizer, and there it's captured already. But I'm quite happy with how we managed the speed. We are slow enough, so no worries about that. And we can see that we can easily make this final turn. That's perfect. Alright, and then I will arm the approach mode. And now we are 8.5 miles out, and there's the runway. Perfect. It feels like frames are still fine. There are some minor textures loading in, so there are some minor lags, but everything's fine really. Okay, and that's the collide slope, so this goes to 3000. And I will drop the gear. And flip 20. And now we should drop back to the final speed of 153. At 25. And flaps 4. And the landing checklist. Speed brakes are armed, landing gear is down, and flaps are 30. Landing checklist completed. And then it will be my aircraft. Okay, I had to search for the button just a second there, but now I got it. Alright, and yeah, it seems like frames have come down a little bit, but that's fine. Landing in New York, I should usually turn down the level of detail radius a bit, but I haven't done that now. But considering that, it looks pretty smooth. Okay, and now, as I've already mentioned, I really hope we can slow this aircraft down once we are on the ground. It will be our first nighttime landing in the new sim.
Approaching minimums. Minimums.
Continue.
100.
There's the landing lights on the ground.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
There we are. Reverse. I'm gonna give it full power on reverse now. And if we make it until the very end, then it's perfectly fine. Okay, idle forward, manual braking, and we've made it. Not too bad. Not too bad. And now there should be an exit on the very end here. Looks like this one. It's a bit dark, I can barely see the taxiway. Yes, I am quite happy with the landing, I really have to say that. And I think this sort of braking performance with a heavy aircraft on an 8,000 feet runway, that seemed pretty realistic to me. So I believe everything is fine with the braking setup in the PMDG. Alright, the cleanup, flaps, spoilers, flight time of 8 hours and 10 minutes. And yeah, by the way, scenery, I haven't managed that, so we are at the Drzewiecki design, New York. That's why it's not super detailed. Maybe you know the scenery. Yeah, now it feels like frames have come down just a bit, but that's fine. Considering I'm really demanding a lot from the sim right now. Alright, transponder goes to standby, and now some lights. I like to keep some lights there since it's really dark outside. And now I need to check the taxi charts. Okay, now we're on taxiway Zulu, and then after passing 31 left, we will have a left-hand turn on Juliet. I don't need to worry about strobes since there's no traffic. Light directors, VRs, and weather. And over here VRs and the terrain can come off. Okay, but there's nothing colored in there, so this looks all good. Alright guys, and now it will be a super long taxi, and I think I will meet you down at the cargo ramp, otherwise I will bore you to death. See you in a bit. Okay guys, after an hour, 8 hours of taxiing, almost felt that way, we are getting very close now. Just a final left-hand turn here, and then I still need to set up GSX as well. And now there are some cargo ramps straight ahead, and now I need to find which one is ours. It might be just the gates. No, that's not it. Okay, quickly double check. So we are looking for parking position 2, wherever that is. Northwestern parking 2, there we are. And I just saw something popping in, and is this one? Yeah, it is this one, number 2, perfect. And now I'm not quite sure which one of the 2 lines to follow. I will take the more skewed one. And as I can see no marshaller, I will need to switch to the outside view. And that dynamic lighting is looking rather awesome. I have the INI builds dynamic lighting installed, so that's the reason why it looks this way, and it looks rather cool. Alright, and now we have finally made it. Parking brakes. Oh, now I just forgot to start the AP. Damn it. Alright, dome lights. Maybe I can get one of those engines killed already. I've killed number 3 earlier on. And yeah, sorry about that. We just have to wait a couple of seconds here. But now I can get rid of the taxi lights. And clock time of 8 hours and 31. Okay, here we are now, APUs available. Let's put those two on. And now we can kill the other engines. Alright, fuel pumps go off. Packs can stay on, beacons come off. That's good, and now we just need to set the ground connections. Auto brakes 2 off, seatbelts can come off, and there's the external power, and I will only connect one of them, and now those can go off as well. Sweet, and now we can ask for deboarding. And now of course we need to open some doors as well. And then probably the side cargo door as well. And then we can do the shutdown checklist. Hydraulic panel is set, fuel pumps are off, flaps are up, parking brake can be released, fuel control switches are cut off, and weather radar is off. Shutdown checklist is completed. Alright guys, that's all we need to do in the cockpit. And now we can enjoy some more of this amazing dynamic lighting as GSX is going on with the deboarding. And alright guys, welcome to New York once again. I hope you have enjoyed this flight, second full flight video in the new sim, and also the first nighttime landing. I'm quite happy with the way the sim looks at night. Here in New York it's always a bit hard to get the sim running smooth, but in my opinion it did a very good job considering that I haven't dialed down any of these settings. And yes, I hope that for the next video I can show you some other aircraft. I believe the A330 should be released within the next couple of days. So maybe we will see this one on the channel. And until then, stay safe and take care. See you next time.